It has a immutable ledger that the past records can be tracked down easily.
Mhm.
And
So
like
if we just summarize about, yes, you're absolutely right. So if we can summarize about, it's a suite of technologies. You know, we all know that cryptography has been there since like 10 years or more than 10 years. And we know that peer-to-peer communication is there for a very long time. We see like, you know, the smart contracts or like redundancy, if we're talking about a peer-to-peer architecture, you know, we see those use cases, and even the digital currency that we, you know, actually money is always in the electronic form, you know, so it's already been there. So what the blockchain has done is to bring all the technologies together, you know, and to bring a suite of technology. So when we think about blockchain, we think about immutability, that once something is written, it cannot be changed. Okay. It's like peer to peer. We see that BitTorrent, it's already been there. You know, we see cryptography. We see something called like smart contracts. So if we, you know, combine all of this technology into together into, you know, in one thing, you know, this is what blockchain is, and it's basically a distributed ledger. It's just like a database that, you know, if you are writing something which is immutable, which can be controlled through cryptography, we see that blockchain is. Okay. So talking about the use cases, it has numerous use cases, starting from, if you're talking about every industry, from derivatives, from like equity, debt, trustee. So just to summarize this thing, we in our organizations, if I'm from telecommunication, if I'm from banking sector, or if I'm anybody or from any sector, if I'm like storing some data, storing some information, I'll be writing in some database, you know. Usually it can be a ledger, it can be a record, or it can be anything which I'm writing. Okay. But if I'm storing this thing on, like, let's say on on blockchain, which I can program to be like or use some automation, it can run through smart contracts. Yeah. So these are we see use cases in every domain. But what is good for us, this we need to explore. And it can either be, you know, considerate, you know, we should be considering like, if we need to explore something, are we ready, like are we having a problem statement for that, or are we only using for the sake of using it? So actually identifying the problem statement is very important upfront. Okay, then once you identify the problem statement, you need to see that, do we need to use a private solution or a public solution? Okay, if I'll be using a private solution, whether I'll be having an infrastructure for that, whether I'll be having resources for that, what sort of membership service or what sort of validation thing that I'll be having. If let's say if I'll be having a huge transactions in my existing architecture or existing organization, whether that will be feasible, if that whole transactions, if I'll be doing on blockchain, about what sort of cost is involved of this process, you know. So once we go into the use case, once we go into the use case scenario, we need to make sure that we are in a position to evaluate all of the different checklists, okay, that we are having, and then we see that whether it gives us benefit or not. So the whole purpose of this session, because, you know, once we talk about, or once we go to our management to take a budget or to do a use case, they will say that, I mean, the first thing they will think of is like, what is the benefit that I'll be getting? You know, if my existing technology is solving the problem, or if I'll be using blockchain, whether it gives me the less cost or high cost for that, or if I'm putting, or if I'm the business case, whether it will give me a profit on a long run or not. So how will I identify, or how will I convince my management this is the point of our, or you can say the main crux of our presentation. Okay, so just moving on. I think Randa, can you give me the hosting right, so that I can, or if you can just, so that I can open this presentation on my, let me see that. Yes, I think now I can, host disabled. Just hold on. Screen sharing. Randa, can you give me the hosting right, please? If you just click on my button, can you or click on my name, right click on my name, and then you can give me the hosting rights. Uh, yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Randa. Okay. So moving on, let me give you. So the blockchain ecosystem. Once you talk about blockchain projects, you see numerous projects going on from like the currency or from the developer's point of view, from like self-sovereign identity. But do you think that if I'll be if I'll be honest with you, where do you see the actual use case of blockchain? Just if I'll just ask you randomly, like in an actual, if you're from, let's say, from a supply chain organization or from a telecommunication sector, in which area you see that this is the area where I can, if I'll apply the blockchain technology, it will give me some benefits. Yeah, I think let's start with Imad. Imad, what do you think?
My industry is not supply chain. However,
Mm-hmm.
from the MIT, I learned something about Walmart, that they are using blockchain
Mm-hmm.
to track the state of the vegetables from the farm to the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
store, even to the topic. But this was the use case for area or industry. It was
Okay.
Walmart.
Okay. So Farooq, can you just add on something like in your organization or in your projects? Where do you see the use case? Where do you see the most? Uh, in which area that if you think that if I'll apply this, it will give me benefit?
As you said, derivative market, the smart contracts, it is one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
then point of sales in like telecommunication and something like this, it comes in my mind. Yeah.
Point of sale, and you said the derivative market. So where in exactly the derivative market do you see the use case? Like what is the problem that you are going to solve in the derivative market if you use blockchain?
Derivative market is basically smart contracts. It's so as you said in the earlier introduction,
Mm-hmm.
smart contracts is one of the component or element in the blockchain or like something in the blockchain. So
Mm-hmm.
I see here that you can use it in the blockchain technology. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll just give you a quick heads up about if we need to explore any of these areas, let's say, or any of the ecosystem areas, let's say, or if we're taking about, let's example or have an example of fintech. Okay, if you're talking about trading, where in trading exactly, if we are using blockchain, if we are thinking about trade deals or the information that we are extracting from the trades, if we place in that distributed ledger, that information cannot be changed. Okay, or if we can put up a condition, let's say that if the price of one stock goes up, my stock or my portfolio should buy that stock, okay, which is going up, and if that is going down, I'll not be selling. I can put that on hold, so I can configure some condition using the smart contract. However, I need to make sure that because that smart contract, once you execute that contract, it involves a gas cost. Okay, so imagine, and you will be storing somewhere that information in that smart contract. So let's say that if we are having 4 people in a network, we are talking about a we are talking about a private blockchain network. Okay, so if we have configured an infrastructure in which we are having 4 nodes, so each node, if that smart contract, we are putting the condition for our use case. Let's say that in that trading example, or in that derivative example, that if something goes up, please buy that stock. Okay, so that code, smart contract code, will be executed in each of the nodes. Yeah, and that one smart contract, once it execute, it will involve a gas cost, and then it has to be that information or that output has to be stored in some variable or in some database. So do you think that if you are talking about a trade deal which is extracting let's say loads of data, which is of like 1 TB, so storing that 1 TB of data in each database, would it be feasible? Or do you have that infrastructure to actually bear that gas cost? What about the networking components that will go into that whole network? So once you are doing this thing, once you are doing, let's say, a smart contract, or you are only using a distributed ledger for like putting up a token, or doing something with this, yeah. So you need to evaluate from all the angles that if I am, whether my use case will make sense or not. Okay, that's the whole point of our discussion. Okay, so let me take you through the decision making process. Okay, so imagine if I initially I've told you that I have to solve a problem statement. Okay, so the first thing I need to ask myself is that, do you need or want a middleman in your transaction or in your existing workflow? Do you have a middleman, or do you rely on third party? For instance, if I'm a real estate broker, or if I'm doing a real estate property thing, I need to rely on a broker, which is a third party for me. In a supply chain example, I need to rely on some validation party to give me the suppliers. If the answer is yes, then I might be needing a blockchain. Okay. If no, then simply I don't need a blockchain. Okay. If I'll just give you this one. Okay. So you have to think from the initial, like from the decision making point, and you have to have the checklist in each of the steps in order to evaluate properly. Then, are you able to develop a permanent solution for the digital assets? Okay. If, let's say, if you don't want to, or if you want to do a permanent solution, then if the answer is no, then you don't need a blockchain. If yes, then do you need to have a common shared database, or do you have to store some like personal identifiable information in some offline database, or you have to store some non-confidential? You have to evaluate on different checkpoints. Are you working with multiple parties? Okay, or are you working with a single party? Do you need to have high performance, or do you, because in some cases, once you're talking about the data, you will be doing some aggregation of the data, you will be doing some analytics on the data. Yeah. So if you're talking about performance, because with blockchain, if you think of, it's a peer-to-peer distributed network in which you are talking about multiple nodes, and multiple nodes will be executing the smart contract or executing that piece of code in their machines. Then they'll be storing it. Yeah. And then there will be somebody who will be mining that information or validating that information. So this will be a cost in the performance thing. So if you want to have a solution which has high cost, you might not be needing blockchain. Okay. Then moving forward, are you looking for a contractual solution? Do you need to share right database? So this whole decision making process will tell you exactly that. First of all, do you need a blockchain? Then what sort of blockchain do you need to have it? Is it a public one or a private one? If a public one, then you should think of like the data, or your data is not for your confidential data that you are having in your organization. If you are having a public blockchain setup, then it can be compromised, or you cannot put that data into a public blockchain because it's viewable, because everybody can access that data. Yeah. And if you're going to a private blockchain setup, then infrastructure cost is a good one, and you have to have a lot of budget for that. So that I'll explain you in the different slides about what sort of budget are we talking about. Okay, so do you have any questions up till now for in this slide or the slide before? Okay. How many of you have invested in some ICOs, by the way, in 2017 or in 2018? Anybody? Imad, I think you have invested in some of the ICOs.
No.
I think because you have no.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. If we talk about, you have seen that there are in 2017, especially, there are numerous ICOs. It was like bombarded. We have we have so many coins, or we have so many. But how many projects were successful? What do you think? Or how many percentage of those projects were successful? I think it's only like 1% maybe, or like even 1% of those whole thing, which it's like very less, So the thing is, if you need to have a setup, you need to go through different things. You need to first have infrastructure, then you need to have a data structure type. You need to have a business process for that. How will you generate the revenue? What sort of, how will you bear the cost? What what will be your cost structure. Then, if you need to have a license, that which jurisdiction will support your life, whether it's legal or not. What's your strategy for marketing? What's your strategy for onboarding your team, or launching your product? What is the roadmap? So there are different set of things involved once you are talking about doing a startup thing. Okay, so you have to make sure that you completely understand the ecosystem, that how it grows and what sort of things are important for that. Okay, then if you, let's say, if you approach a client, or if somebody approaches you that, okay, Mr. Asher or Mr. Ahmad, I'm interested in blockchain technology. Can you help me with it? So there are few things that you can ask with him to actually clarify his thoughts. Maybe after hearing from you for all these text points, he may be not be interested. So that you need to just make sure. What are those? Okay, do you need to build a blockchain product or integrate? Do you need to build a new blockchain product or integrate blockchain with an existing product? Let's say that if I'm using my existing database or existing workflow, or I'll be using a different, my use case is like I need to let's say build an IoT sensors, and I need to use blockchain to have the security for that IoT device. And that's a completely new use case. Okay, so that's a different, or I don't need to have an integration with my existing database. Yeah, so that's the first checkpoint. Then what type of blockchain hosting will your product require? If it's your data is confidential, and if you're having an enterprise network, then you might go for the private blockchain solution. Or if you want to do a startup thing and use Ethereum, let's say, or use Bitcoin protocol, then you can go for a public blockchain network. So you need to make sure that you understand your use case, that which it suits which platform. Okay, then does your application needs to deal with financial transactions? Are you talking about money, or it's just like a token for any utility? Because mind you, if you're talking about a financial transaction, okay, then you need to have like custody thing, in which you need to make sure that are you holding your consumers' money, or whether any investor is involved in that money. Or because with financial, there are legal considerations also into that thing. Maybe if you're talking about debit card transactions, you have to comply with PCI DSS, okay, which is itself a whole new project. Okay, or if talking about only crypto transactions, that what will be the payment processor, what is the exchange mechanism, or how the users will withdraw that money. Yeah, so there are different things once you're talking about financial transactions. Okay, does your product need cloud computation outside of the blockchain network? Because how will you build your infrastructure? If you're using a cloud model, then you have to have, or you cannot store, let's say in Saudi Arabia, if you are doing a cloud solution for a government entity, they will not allow you to put your data in that cloud, because that cloud database or that cloud data center will be in Iran or in Dubai. So you cannot. So you have to think from the data perspective, that where or how do you need to do the storage, processing, and all the networking components of your infrastructure. Then what is next? What type of product interface do you need to have it? Is it a web interface or a mobile app, or what? Because each category has different cost models. Then is it a POC or a pilot? How many users will interact with your platform? That is very important use case, or that is very important considerations. That if your existing load is, let's say, 1 million transactions per second, and if the public blockchain supports only 15, 16 transactions per second, that how will you use the public blockchain setup? Okay, so you have to have those considerations when you're talking about your clients or anybody comes to you. Okay, now what's the checklist? This is the very important thing which you will not find, or as I know that you cannot find anywhere who will tell you all of these things. Okay, because this is once you go to a firm to give you the design, then they will come up with a cost calculation and give you things. Because okay, but the purpose of this presentation is actually to get you, or to give you some real insights, what's going on, what's going in the market, and how do you build that level. So what is your blockchain requirement? Is it a new project, or is it an existing product that we just discussed? Okay, is there any cloud computation? So once you're talking about cloud computation or cloud computation requirement, okay, for example, use third-party service, collect data from other sources, a payment gateway, that requires some sort of complex computation in the cloud. Okay, which means what? which means more price for the complex one. Okay. Then does your blockchain product requires mobile app? So all of these things, once you're talking about applications part, okay, you are actually talking about personas for your users, about design requirements, about, okay, maybe if there's a feature heavy application, that then it will be included more modules, how soon do you need the solution to be ready? If it's a fast development, or it's like a slow development, because usually when it comes to a public blockchain setup, a normal crypto wallet, okay, this takes usually for 2 to 3 months. So imagine if you're going from a private network thing, you need to build your own infrastructure, you need to build your own design, that will include different cost models. Okay. Yeah, so that's about program cost calculation. So you need to have different criteria, and this will how you derive the cost for your network or for your solution. Then expenditure factors, where will you actually storing the amount? This is, by the way, all related to the private, usually the setup, in which you will be spending the money on your infrastructure. Then it will be a storage space. If it's, let's say, a hybrid model, then you need to have a normal database like a DB or a MongoDB or MongoDB, or let's say SQL database, or you are using IPFS, then it's different thing. Then to network speed, about like, once you're connecting your network, what sort of latency you will be having, or what is the processing speed of your network. Yeah. Then for the encryption, where will you store your encryption keys? How will you manage the life cycle of your cryptographic keys? Okay, where will you generate? Okay. Then if you talk about smart contracts, who will do auditing of your smart contracts? If, let's say, if you have written a piece of code, okay, if that piece of code is lengthy, then there will be more gas costs in it. Okay. Or then what is the deployment strategy? Where you want to deploy your smart contracts? Or if, let's say, if your smart contract has some error or some dispute, if you want to destroy it or you use a kill function, what will happen with a transaction that is already been processed? Yeah. So that is different expenditure. The expenditure is for all of these factors, there are different considerations. Okay. Okay. Now, once you develop your smart contract, then there becomes the security part, which is like the fundamentals of blockchain. Let's say for every private blockchain or public blockchain, yani, let's say, how will you protect the denial of service attack, or how will you protect each layer of your infrastructure? So that is the security part will audit your whole solution. So if you have a security team in your in-house environment, that is good. But you want to outsource it or rely on, like, say, open projects, or the freelancers, they might charge you more. So you have to have the consideration for the security part. Then design complexity. If your design is complex, how will you make sure that if you need to do the maintenance or do any upgrades, who will take care of all those things? So the maintenance part comes for all of this thing. And if your design is complex, then it will be hard for you. Okay. Yeah. I think this is all we discussed. If you're going for a low complexity blockchain app, then it's basically a basic smart contract, payment application built with existing cryptocurrencies. You don't need to rebuild your own crypto coin. That is the low complexity app. Or if you're going for a medium complexity app, then you will be using, let's say, Ethereum or Hyperledger Fabric or Sawtooth. So that decentralized application you need to build using different platform that involves a medium complexity level. Okay. And that involves, a different requirements, so that will incur more cost for you. Then for the hybrid or for the high complexity, you need to have your own database setup. That will be actually more complex. So before you actually exploring your use case, let's say, you need to think from point to point that how much complexity do you need to have it. So the best recommendation is you can go for the low complex thing, or for an MVP, at least for a minimum viable product, at least go for the lowest complexity thing with like the main features up front. Okay. Then gradually, once you are generating traffic for your application, then you can scale up and do some, ads on. Okay. So guides for implementing a solution. What is the guide? that let's say if I need to build a solution, what I need to have, I need to first identify a goal and use case. I need to understand the business model first, that I need to do some cost benefit analysis, that how much my solution is costing me. Okay. And when I'm having my solution, what is the revenue or what is the problem that I'll be solving? You need to do something like risk management, and then generate a business model around that. Okay. What your existing challenges, I'll be solving my existing challenges using the solution, or it's just like a smart contract. Because see, you need to think this very carefully, that most of the challenges we are solving it, we can solve without blockchain, using AI, using cloud, AWS cloud, okay, using different existing database architectures. We can solve it. So if you are, so actually the main pitch for you to use blockchain first is to identify that, is to make sure that you have completely have gone through other technology to solve that use case or to solve that challenge. Once your problem cannot be solved using that problem or that other technologies, then you can use it. Okay. Then platform selection. What sort of platform you will be using? You will be using Ethereum, Hyperledger, Fabric, Corda, or Quorum, or what sort of platform? Whether what is the basic criteria for you? Because you have put the assessment checklist that, okay, let's say that you will be solving a business requirement in which, I'll give you one example, in which you will be sending a remittance from one country to another. Okay. This is your business requirement. You have to do that process in less cost and very fast. Okay. Then the second requirement is that you need to have the security solution, which is revolved around privacy and security. Okay. For each checkpoints. Okay. You have to protect all sort of attacks related to it. Then you have to have the transactions which supports, let's say you have already your workflow, which is having, let's say 10,000 transactions, so you have to build your business case, then evaluate each platform around that. Let's say Corda is supporting this thing, Ethereum is supporting this one, or how should we satisfy this thing? Then design the architecture. You have to do a wireframe of that transaction, because once you build the business case, you identify the platform, then you have to design like what sort of stack you will be using it. Let's say what sort of front end you will be having, in which database you will be storing that information, what sort of configurational thing that you will be doing. You have to design for each module, for each, let's say the KYC mechanism or the remittance part, in which there are different parties involved, how that workflow will take place, so you have to go through that designing process. Then you have to build the configuration and the API thing, that if data is being used by external sources, then what sort of API that you need to design? Is it a REST API or a SOAP interface, or which API? Okay. Where you will store your smart contracts or the key pair to use that in your architecture? Where will you generate that keys? Okay. If you're surrounding around the permissions blockchain, who will grant you the permission for your nodes? Yeah. Whether it is having a redundancy or not, so that's a very important thing as well. Then add a UI interface that, if your application has 3-4 interfaces, who will be the administrator for that? Okay. Whether the administrator is being compromised, then what will happen for that one? If you want to use other technology, let's say, how will you integrate the AI, the ML, the other integration with your existing tech? So you have to have all those considerations in different stages to build a good blockchain solution. Okay, so before going to the success stories, do you have any questions up till now? Yes, please.
Taha, sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you give us being a beginner, can you give us any real world use case using any of the company that is using, and the steps that they're following in the use case for the blockchain?
Yeah. So Farooq, you mean that if any existing company in Saudi Arabia is using blockchain, what steps they are using? Yeah. On a high level.
Any part of the world.
Yeah. So the first comes the use case exploration workshops. Like for any, let's say that you belong to a Saudi exchange, or or any exchange company, or let's say any company. The first thing is that If let's say if you build that, I want to have a blockchain solution in my workflow in which, like, if I'm storing my, I'm just giving you one example. If I'm doing my payments thing, if I'm doing my payments mechanism, I need to automate that payment process. Okay, let's make it very simple. Okay, payment thing, first you need to identify that what sort of challenges you are having in your payment mechanism. Let's say if you're talking about a middleman, okay, your payment is going from A to B, then B to C. Okay, this B party, which is in the middle, is costing me, let's say, 1,000 reals. Okay, so I need to remove B, and I need to have a direct communication with A to C. Okay, that's your point. You need to cut that middleman with that cost. Okay, then the time from reaching to A to C, okay, is costing me, let's say, 2 days. Okay, so you have to identify exactly what are the problems you're going to solve it. Okay, then if you identify that, okay, now if you can connect this A to C, and in the functionality of B, if we can program using a smart contract, okay, which makes sense, yeah, because if we are removing B, we are saving cost and saving the time, yeah. So this we can do it. Yeah, this is a very good use case. But okay, then once you identify that process or that problem, you need to go through the existing workflows. Maybe that B party which you're going to replace has any dependency, or is maybe having your confidential information, or whether B is been integrating with your third party, or third party is giving that data to B. So you have to understand the workflow that is going into that chain. Okay, because you will be actually configuring or conditioning all that workflow process in that smart contract. Okay, then the third consideration is that about selecting the platform. That, okay, you are the use case, very good, you identify the problem case, you know the steps, you have understand the workflow, everything. Okay, then which platform do you need to select? So the each platform selection comes with a criteria, that what is your criteria. Every company has different criteria, that they're preferring security as a built-in process. Yeah, so you have to select your criteria first, and then you have to evaluate all these platforms in that criteria. Okay, then once you select the criteria, then you have to design the process about how your tech will look like, how your software tech will look like, you know, how your personas, what is your personas, what are your user stories for each of your cycle, you know. So it comes from the use case till the actual designing phase, then actual the roadmap, and, you know, all the testing or all of the deployment phases, you know. So that how it goes. I hope I
Thank you,
have
Taha.
answered your question.
It's okay. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So guys, let me give you some of the success stories, because, you know, the real motivation for us to doing this session is to actually guide you through. And if you see a career in this, then it's a very good thing, because we have been actually privileged and honored enough to actually teach these students. Okay, and now they are doing very good. I think all of you know Mohammed Nakib. Okay, he's around in the blockchain space for like 2 years now. He has done the solution architect. I mean, from like the blockchain training alliance, which I have teach them. And then we know like Raneem Rashid. She's now working, alhamdulillah, in a car chain, and she's also doing very good. Then we have Sarah Saidan, and all of the students that are showing you were beginners. Okay, now alhamdulillah and mashallah, they are doing great in the blockchain space. The reason I'm showing you this is to give you motivation that if you are even a beginner or an intermediate level in blockchain, what are the things that you need to do to build a career for yourself. Okay, this is very important. Okay, and this, by the way, Sarah, she is in CMA, and she started, and she also a beginner in the blockchain sphere, you know. I worked with her, and our team worked with her, and now she is doing very good in CMA. You know, so I mean, even if you are in India or in Saudi Arabia, if you are stuck in somewhere, or if you need to explore some roles for yourself, then you need to have a mentor first, and I'll just guide you through all the steps that will take you to some, you know, all the good places. Okay, for the career opportunities, I have one question. I received one question, I think, from let's say, I think Piyush or Ashar. he's a developer or he needs to do something which is non-coding thing. Okay. I think it's Piyush or Asher. Uh, I'm not sure. Okay. Anyways, I mean for you,
It's me, it's Pius.
yes, Piyush. Okay, for you, see if you are non-coder, because I'm also a non-coder guy. I don't know, I don't know coding, or at least from a or from a non-programming background. What you get instead is to first of all get yourself certified from a renowned organization, or renowned, at least an alliance or an agency. You can argue, like, there are numerous courses available in Coursera, Udemy, or there are different blockchain, education, or free education that has been going on. Okay, but I encourage you to take those things. Okay, but however, to actually associate yourself with a good company or a good institute, let's say Blockchain Training Alliance is a good institute. Then we have Hyperledger. We have, like, we are having certification from R3. Or if you want to pursue a master's program, we have University of Nicosia. So first of all, the action that you are getting, accredit yourself or associate yourself with a renowned institute. Okay, that's one. The second point is, try to, once you learn that thing, try to give that same learning, or try to teach to your peers. Okay, because this way you will create value with your peers. Okay, and you will actually, the best way actually to create, because we get paid, or we get hired by the amount of value that you put in the marketplace. You don't get hired for the amount of work hours that you spend in your work. Okay, because somebody in your place will be getting much higher salary. Okay, so you have to think that how much value you are putting. So if you learn something, try to teach your peers, try to showcase on LinkedIn, let's say, that what sort of new learning that you are getting. And if you want to share your opinion on some topic, try to do that. Try to be more active on the community side. Okay, then the third thing is that try to explore some use cases about, let's say, about case studies from different organizations. That if, let's say, if IBM is doing blockchain, or if, let's say, if Gartner or any company who is doing a blockchain use case, how they're doing it, what are different steps that is going into that. So there you will do a hands-on, or you will build a hands-on momentum about learning this technology. Then the fourth thing is that try to do networking, that try to involve in some community discussion, or discussion with your peers, or or participate in some conferences, that which has been going on. Try to build your network. This is also the very important step, which will take you to some different places. Okay, so that, for me, that is the fourth step. First, associate yourself with some good institute, and get a mentor who can share you with with his experience about how he has been gone through, or how what sort of things, or what sort of problems that has been going into all of this process. Then do the networking, build and teach your peers what you're learning, or be vocal in the community, that share your opinion. Let's say that we have now seen Aber, a digital currency that Arabia has launched. Go through the funnel report. Think about what sort of things that you don't like, or like. Even share your opinion, share your thoughts. Okay, yeah. So for the career opportunities, you can be a pre-sale consultant if you know the technology. Okay, if you have seen enough use cases, you can be hired as a pre-sale consultant, and there are numerous jobs available for the pre-sale consultant. Dubai, okay, I've seen many jobs in Avanza Solutions, or from different companies. So you have to be good in sales, in pitching, and all of these things, and you have to know the solution, because you will be introducing that product to your clients, or to their clients. Then project management, solution architect. This, for the project management, I would suggest you that if you are from a project management background, normally we are using agile methodology in blockchain project management, because we'll be developing the solution, or developing the software. Yeah? So you can explore a PMI ACP certification for yourself, or Scrum Master, all of this thing will be good. For the solution architect role, I would suggest you to go or to check Certified Blockchain Solution Architect from Blockchain Training Alliance. That is a very good course. And try to get yourself equipped with all the platforms, because that is mainly the role of the solution architect, to go through the exploration workshops and try to pitch the platform which is suited for that use case. Then security and compliance, if you are from the cybersecurity background, then this is a very good role for you. And blockchain security role is a very good, is a very good one for you. And then business development marketing. So you can explore different areas. The main focus is try to think about yourself, like develop a passion around this technology, and then try to see value, that how you can find the value, how you can extract that value, and how you can deliver that value, Yeah. So that's about it. For the roadmap, what we do actually, I've been associated with different companies. We usually do blockchain fintech workshops for the use case exploration, in which we will identify the problem. We'll give you the solution, and then we'll give you actually not one solution, we'll give you different solutions for your use case to solve your use case. Then we will actually give you the solution also for the whole design, end-to-end solution, And then for the blockchain project management, if you're interested in that roadmap, solution architect or business analyst, then we have a separate program which cover all this part. So if you want to build a startup from scratch, we also do the white paper thing, and we also teach you that how you can do the revenue model, or how you can build a team around it. So this business planning is a different course, which is tell you that how to build an ICO for yourself. Public blockchain enterprise solutions, if you're interested in, like, let's say Hyperledger Fabric or R3 Corda or any private solution, we also offer dedicated classes for that. Or if you want to build your own crypto wallet and exchange tokenized solution, we'll do consultancy. And for everything that you are thinking, we will teach you. Or if you want to do a solution, we can also help you in that one. That's about it. If you have any questions, please feel free.
Taha, just a question. So for the blockchain industry, I will say, what is the background, like a basic background required? Like you need a coding background, you need financial background, or like IT? If you could just guide us like little.
Yeah, actually, the technology is new, is raw. It's keep on evolving. If you just see now, Ethereum 2.0 is also launched. Okay. So there is no, you can say, the right time to be in the technology or from a specific background, because the use cases it has lies on each on every industry. Okay. It's about exploring the right use case for you, and supporting that or taking that forward from your experience, what you have learned of blockchain. So that's how you can build up the things.
Yeah, Taha, can I add on this?
Yeah, please, Ranga.
Yeah, so as you were saying, as Taha was saying, it's related to what you will be working on, let's say a project in any sector. Like I studied banking and finance, and then I've been working in banking for many years. So then I found that blockchain can really do good things, or it can be solutions in many places. And so I started studying, and I'm still doing the higher studies for it. And not only blockchain, I'm talking about digital currency for sure. So if you have computer science, IT background, business background, finance background, or any background, you can still learn this technology as easy as you can learn as we all learned before, how to use a laptop or a smartphone, because I mean, we are in the age of industrial revolution, and we cannot deny that this is coming so quickly, and we have to be part of it. So don't hesitate to start with a simple course, or you can also consult or ask Taha or me if you want, and we can assist you how to go forward with this. So, yeah.
So Farouk, basically, yeah, just to add on what Randa is saying, no matter what sort of background you are from IT, from a finance background, you can use this technology because it has numerous benefits. But to start off the thing, I would suggest you to check out the basic videos or to develop basic understanding of blockchain. And it is important to see that where your interest is, because if you, let's say, start something and if you end up not doing it, if you not feel it interesting, you'll not do it. So see that where your interest is, where you are passionate, in which area your passion is. Is it in the research one, or in the security thing, or as a project manager, where your interest lies. So try to explore that path, and we are here to help you on that.
Taha and Ramda, thank you very much. Actually, it's really beneficial, and I'll be in touch with you guys. So,
Sure,
thank you.
You're most welcome.
Most
You're
welcome.
most welcome.
Just have I'm having a question about what were the implementations done in Saudi Arabia so far for the use of the technology.
Yeah. So for Saudi Arabia, actually, we are working on the blockchain national framework for Saudi Arabia. It's not been yet finalized. However, there are numerous private organizations who are doing the blockchain, who are doing the blockchain implementation. One of them is Bank Islami Bank, Islamic Development Bank, ISDB. Okay, they are exploring the use case, a blockchain use case in their payment settlement process or their investment banking. Then we have STC, they are also working. So I mean, there are no national framework as of now in which the proper guidelines from Saudi Arabia that how you can doing the blockchain. But if somebody is doing it, they are doing it on their own private level. Okay. However, government level, we have seen now Saudi Arabia has launched their digital currency, Aber, which is being done using Hyperledger Fabric. So I strongly believe that Hyperledger Fabric is one platform which will be coming as a part of the framework also. So if you want to explore, you can go for that path.
I see. So the lack of the regulation and is a little bit limiting the progress of the utilizing the blockchain.
And secondly,
the Ministry of Information Technology, they organizing the GDPR, I guess, or trying to implement something similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the one area to actually look for in Saudi Arabia is the fintech space, because the fintech community in Saudi Arabia is booming and they are very much active, So in the fintech space, there are different, startups who are, let's say there's Akar chain, which has been, going up in Saudi Arabia. There's P2P lending platform. There are some platforms which has been under the sandboxing license stage, but still yet not been evolved as a whole, as a full scale block product. Okay, so it's been exploring. So if you're interested in doing something in Saudi Arabia, I would suggest you to explore the fintech space as well as the supply chain or any use case, because the main thing is that whatever you do, try to find the value in that, and that's how you will convince the masses.
I just want to add, Taha, just to give you a real world. The company I'm working on is Saudi Stock Exchange, Tadawul they call it. They started a new company called Tadawul Digital Solutions. So this fintech and blockchain, these all actually, it's I think from the government or somewhere that they are working on it now to have the new business solutions and business development based on these technologies.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And thank you for sharing, Farooq.
It's okay. Thank you. Pleasure.
Ashar and Piyush, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. I wanted to add, if I want to study or learn blockchain from scratch, from where should I start? Is there any companies or
I'll tell you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll tell you. So for the scratch, if you don't know a thing about blockchain, I would suggest you to go to blockchaintrainingalliance.com. Okay. There is a course called Business Foundation, and it is absolutely free. Okay. So try to register, enroll in that course and do that course. It's like a 2 or 3 course. They will give you videos, and they will also give you one certificate. So once you will do that course, then the next thing that you can do is solution or the certified blockchain solution architect, which will give you a broader horizon, or the broader perspective about what blockchain is. There are different what sort of different platform that you are having, you will also explore in that course. So if you're interested, we can offer you, because I'm authorized to teach that course, and me and Randa can collaborate on that. So we'll be happy to help you on that.
Sure, so I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, sure.
And I have also one question, that if I get certifications from BTA or some certified companies like Hyperledger, so what after getting a certification, like where should I apply, and in which companies or in which countries should I focus for application purpose?
Okay, so see, certification will not guarantee you a job. That's one. Let's be sure, or there's no, or there's no be, or don't be in some doubts. Okay, it will enhance your knowledge, okay, or gives you a name or a branding thing associated with you. How you will land up the jobs depends on how you add value from that certification, which is what you can do. You can think about what's going on around the space, and you can give your opinion based on what you have learned in that certification. Okay, that's one. Then go to different events, do some networking, and meet your community peers. Excuse me. Yeah.
No issue, no issue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So build your community around that space. Okay. Do some networking, and then get yourself familiar with some use cases, that how the use cases is being built up. Okay. And let's say what sort of problems they are solving, how they approach the solution, what sort of technology they are using, which platform they're using, why they're using it. Okay. Try to explore that part. And once you explore that part, try to actually give yourself a chance about working on some solution, or with your peers, like do some internships in some real companies which are implementing the solution. So try to think about from like adding the value. Okay,
completely get it. So now also as I said earlier, that I am into blockchain from late 2018. So now I'm switched to role of business development in one of the startups of blockchain space in India. So recently I have joined it. So that's what I was saying, that like it is a 3-month internship. So
that's good. It's good. It's good, and try to explore the different platforms, and try to see that if they are using one over another, why they have used it, and how they have gone about the designing thing, and what sort of problems they are been solving from that design thing or from that solution. So, and try to be vocal, try to help your peers, add some value in that marketplace. Because see, the important thing is, if you learn something, try to not be quiet. Okay, try to tell somebody that you have learned it, how you can help them in their challenges, build a community around that. That's how you will add value.
Okay, and one more question is that, according to your opinion, which is the best company which is progressing well in blockchain field?
It's IBM, no doubt. See, IBM is like a member of Hyperledger, and then we have Deloitte, we have like the big four. They have been doing very good, but there is no such thing like a company or one company which is progressing. It's about the ecosystem. How much you are aligned with your competitors, because it's a distributed peer-to-peer technology. You cannot grow as a single company. You have to build a consortium around. Yeah, so that's like IBM is like right up there, and with them there are different like Microsoft, Intel, Huawei. So there are different companies involved at their respective level, or at their respective stage.
Okay, all right. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. Just like 2 things I would like to share over here. First of all, if you can take a picture to actually, because this is an effort for all of us to actually spread the word, and and make sure that we engage or we help our peers to actually be on such sessions again and again. So that's one. And the second thing, you will be happy to have your feedback around it. If you can give us your feedback on the LinkedIn, that how you find the session, what more information that you need to learn, like in the future sessions, or if you have any feedback around that, we'll be happy to help you around that. Is Sandra, you want to add something?
It was very nice. Thank you, Taha.
Thank you. Yes, Rhonda, you want to add something?
Okay. No, thank you, Taha, for your effort and the good presentation. And hopefully everybody enjoyed it. And as you said, yes, you can take pictures and post them on your LinkedIn also, so that we can spread the word about the upcoming presentations or webinars. And thank you all for your time. We really enjoyed. Nice to meet you. Hopefully you will be there in our next meetups. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I'll share with you the recording once I'll add somebody else. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you.